you will most likely have them asking, what does it look like to work with you? Either can I hire you, or can I work with you on an equity basis? What does that look like? Now, I will defer answering that and say, look, right now, I'm only about adding value for you. We'll talk about that at the end. But right now, let's just talk. This is all about you. So let's not get distracted with things that might be, for me. Ultimately, I think you'll find that it's in your best interest to work with me. But right now, we are working together. So let's just do that.
So yeah, Roland, basically in the consultation part of doing a consulting for equity deal, whether it's like an assessment or whatever it is, have you found with you and other people that have had success with this that you're almost always selling the equity portion from that meeting, or do you kind of give them time to digest that? And the reason I'm asking is because if part of that consultation and assessment is something where you could technically delegate, would you ever delegate that to somebody, just if it's a lot of questions and that sort of thing? Or is it really kind of have to be you because you're positioning yourself as the expert and because you have to also sell the equity portion from there versus like giving, like I said, or having somebody else go, here's the results of these assessments we did, and then schedule a call with me and I go back in and sell them. Do you kind of understand what I'm asking you?
I do, yeah. And I think it just depends on where you are. If you want to scale what you're doing there, then the ideal thing would be that you train people up on doing the consults and everything. That the part of the challenge is if somebody has the skills to do that, they're very likely to just go out and do it themselves. So partnering is, can be a way to do that, and we have found that is effective. But for me, there are two real possible outcomes of the consult that's paid. And one is that at the end, or usually after about an hour to an hour and a half, they're saying, this is amazing. How can I work with you? How can I get you to come in and, be part of my, company? Because, and part of that is pre-framing the consult, right? So, and so let me hop back to there, because Kent Clothier and some other people that I helped with this didn't do the first part. And then they didn't understand why why people weren't asking them, because they were like, we're giving them all this amazing stuff and it's not leading to anything. And that's because they didn't position themselves going into the consult as having a desire to work with the people. Like to say, the reason I do these consults is so that I can razzle dazzle frazzle you and have you feel that I will become an indispensable part of your business and you absolutely have to have me to work with you. I'm not working as a consultant. So that does a couple things. One is it sells against yourself. And it's like, I'm not a consultant. I'm not doing this to make money. So like, if you want to beat me up on it or anything like that, that's not going to happen because I just don't care. Right. So that positions you, I think, very well to get paid in the first place. And then you also say, the reason that I do these is not for that, not for the cash. It's because I want to impress you so much that you feel that you absolutely must have me work with you in your company. And the way I do that is, and then you say the way you do that. And I find that to be really effective, right? It's just selling completely against, and it gets past so many objections. And then when you're in the consult, you typically will have them say, I'd say 80% of the time, if you go through the stuff that I've put in the breakouts of the questions and the way to do each of those consults, you will most likely have them asking, what does it look like to work with you? Either can I hire you, or can I work with you on an equity basis? What does that look like? Now, I will defer answering that and say, look, right now, I'm only about adding value for you. We'll talk about that at the end. But right now, let's just talk. This is all about you. So let's not get distracted with things that might be, for me. Ultimately, I think you'll find that it's in your best interest to work with me. But right now, we are working together. So let's just do that. And that also, to me, builds good credibility. And also, it's what you should do because they've paid you for the time. Now, at the end, then, they're either going to say, okay, I've waited long enough. What does it look like to work with you? And you tell them what it's like. Or they don't say anything. And you can remind them and you can say, look, how did you feel this went? Oh my gosh, it was great. looking at the business and going through this process with you, I can tell this is something I'd be very interested in being involved in. And the way I do that is, and you describe how you do it, is that something that you'd be interested in? And very often they'll say, yes. I don't think I've ever had anybody say no. If they did say no, though, I would say, totally cool. Why don't you take this, see how it goes? And then I'd love to follow up with you in about 90 days and see how things are going, because most people get right back into the whirlwind of all the stuff that has been stopping them from greatness in the first place. And even though they have all of the amazing plans from you, they just don't really have an ability to organize themselves into making them happen. And so if you revisit in 90 days and say, how's it going? And they go, oh, guys, I was so busy, I haven't been able to implement any of that stuff. Then you say, that's one of the best reasons for us to work together. And then, you know, it either works or it doesn't. And I'm not saying everything I do that I would like to have a piece of equity in works out. It doesn't. But that's really how it goes. The other way that it could go would be at the end of the consult, they say, it's really good. I got everything I need. And I have had this happen too. I've got everything I need. I want to take that and get going. I'm not really interested in having other partners right now. But usually if you have the conversation on the front end to set up the expectation, you might disqualify them as a consult. You might at the beginning, before you have the consult, say, well, tell me a little bit about what your business is, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. The way I do that is, and you say the consult, and then you say my evil plan for doing this is this. Is that something that you would be open to in the event that you're totally blown away by everything we do? And if they say, absolutely not, I don't want to partner, then I'm probably going to say, this probably isn't a fit because I'm not doing this for the consult. Or they might say, I never, ever want to sell the business. Now, I used to say, no, then you're disqualified because I'm really only interested in the exit. But I realized that I could build an exit for my portion. So that doesn't really stop me anymore. That's a longer answer, but I thought it might have some things that would help everybody.
Absolutely.
How does that lead?
No, dude, that was so good. And the thing is I know a lot of us get so caught up with like trading time for money, and I know that was a big thing for you. But the worst case scenario, right? Whether you're charging 5K or 25K, and even if you're taking a full day, 5K for a full day is still a run rate of $1 million a year. So it's not.
It's all right, right?
Thanks, Roland. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.